Galactic Standard Date. Year 11356. Day 96. Sol Standard Date. 4th of the 8th. 3267. The connection to Basileus cut. Sylvan smiled down at Draconis, who was frozen stiff as she stared seemingly straight through Sylvan. He cleared his throat, and Draconis snapped back to reality with a shake before she cautiously took a step back from Sylvan. She started trembling as she realized just what kind of entity she was standing before. With a loud clang, she thrust her head into the ramp as hard as she could, prostrating herself before Sylvan. Oh, great apostle of Lord Slayer, I offer my most humble apologies. I intruded upon your subconscious and even appeared before your lord. If you wish to take my life, I humbly accept. Sylvan just stood there with a blank expression for a moment, before patting her head and chuckling. Oh, I don't think he will be upset at all. By the way, why do you call Lord Basileus the Great Slayer? Draconis kept her face glued to the ramp as she answered to the best of her ability. Lord Apostle, we called him Great Slayer because that's simply what he is. We did not know his name. One day our seers started screaming in terror while proclaiming that Mail was on the move to wipe out the galaxy. The clergy looked into it. We peered deeper into the veil for two reasons. We wanted to find out how many Azarians were on the move, and we wanted to find out who they were attacking. They dragged their victims into the veil to feed their queen, so we would naturally be able to see where the bastards were starting simply based on their choice of food. She paused for a moment, and chanced a nervous look at Sylvan before continuing. The very first casualty in the war was the Great Slayer himself. He was our first glimpse at the terrifying species that fought of a god. The warlord had dragged the Slayer through a rift, not because it was bringing him home to eat, but because it was trying to escape that being's terrible wrath. It came through the massive training blood, and with several limbs hanging by a thread. It was on death's doorstep, and it tried to flee to the veil, presuming that the mortal would die at the cold touch of the veil's dark energies. Yet when he pulled the Slayer into the veil, there was no damage. Nothing more than the rage of a beast slowly dismembering a gargantuan demigod. As he stood atop a corpse the size of a mountain, he roared into the veil, and it trembled. We felt the shock carried by his raw emotions. From then on, speculation was made for a millennium. Some believed him to be a god himself, or at least an apostle. Then there were those who recognized the irrefutable fact that he did not appear in the pantheon of gods. Over the last 1,000 years, we tried to watch his every move in the veil. We learned from him, used his tactics, and even tried to recreate his weapons and armor. He has become the symbol of the military, along with the Lady of Death, Maleficus. His visage is a good luck charm, and assurance that even mortals can kill gods, so there is no reason to give in to despair. She glanced at Tel Aktam before adding, Most of our soldier caste actually worships either him or Lady Maleficus. There are temples erected across our lands in the Slayer's image. Sylvan raised an eyebrow at Draconis before asking, Well then, I had no clue that he started off as a mortal, honestly. I had seen some of the videos where he asked people not to worship him like some god, and assumed that he was being humble. He is definitely a god now, though. I've seen his power. He split the Rosarian moon into chunks before reforming it into a literally shining gem. Tel Aktam blurted out, Wait, what? The Rosarians? He was over there and we didn't hear anything about it? Have we really been so isolationist that a literal god descended into our allies' territory and we didn't know? Also, I'll believe that he's the Slayer when I see him. If he's the real deal, that would change everything. Sylvan chuckled and gave her a wide smile. I don't know if he's your Slayer, but he is certainly an individual I could see being given such a title. With that said, he slowly walked out of the ship, still limping from the overuse of his power. The group of Psy-Corps ants passed before him to allow him through their little congregation. He heard astonished mutterings about the Great Slayer from just about every single one of them as he passed by. He just smiled and slowly shook his head as he limped to the edge of the platform. Once he arrived there, he sat on the edge and stared up at the moon. The congregation had followed behind him, somehow still bowing. Most of the ants had come out to investigate what was going on, and soon more started filtering out of the building to witness the apostle.